Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. Filming upstairs again. We're currently in the process of having some kitchen work done, very dusty, very messy, and we've just got back from Edinburgh. And I'm here to talk to you about some of the wonderful things I found in Edinburgh. As a heads up, if any of you have ever considered going to Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival, please do it. It was like one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. Everything's like super inspirational. Meeting all these artistic individuals is just great for yourself, and it's just saw some wonderful shows. If anyone does want a list of shows, send me a message on any platform. I'm happy to give you a huge list of everything we saw. And we have heard that a few of them are sort of travelling the country either this year or next. But anyway, back into spirits. It was a little bit disappointing in the sense that everything I went to Edinburgh to find, I couldn't find, but have been able to source since. So those videos will be coming up. The main one was the Armagnac and Sauternes cask that launched as we were in Edinburgh. But Royal Mile Whiskies sold out pretty quickly, everywhere else did as well. It's just so busy during that festival that it's impossible to get hold of anything. I missed out on Whisky Fringe, so I couldn't get a hold of the Armagnac and Adelphi 10-year-old bottling, their first ever 10-year-old. But I've heard from reliable sources, mainly Armagnac and Adelphi, that should change hopefully on Tuesday. I'm recording this on Sunday, so we should have a bottle to review soon. Went into Cadenhead's, found something pretty cool. That'll be next week's video. But in Royal Mile Whiskies while I was there, I remembered that why haven't I bought a bottle of Craigellachie in such a long time? This did come with a tube, but I threw it away because it was just bulky in the luggage. This is the Craigellachie 13-year-old Bas Armagnac cask selection. This says 13 up there. Usual story with Craigellachie, 46%. Apologies if the lighting goes a bit crazy, it's super bright in this room. 46%, no colouring, no chill filtration. And when I was studying Royal Mile Whiskies, and they were amazing in there. They're like really apologetic because I'm like, have you got this? No, have you got this? No, and I'm like, I'm becoming that customer. But I was like, there's no way I can leave without purchasing something. And it was, even though it's not the biggest shop in the world, they have so many things. I was looking at rum and cognac, and then I was like, well, it makes sense to buy a bottle of single malt, and realised that it's been so long since I've even looked at Craigellachie as a brand, which was really unusual because I love the 13. I haven't tried the 17 in a long time, but I remember it being very good, and I did get to try the 23-year-old once, and I loved it. Tried a few single casks here and there, loads of indie bottlings that have always been pretty decent. But when I saw this, I was like, ooh, I actually forgot this even came out. Bas Armagnac cask matured Craigellachie. I believe it's the full term as well. There's nothing on it that would say otherwise. Oh no, yes there is. Little blurb on the back. Every drop of Craigellachie has navigated the copper tubes of our worm tubs. It is a big part of what makes us Craigellachie. Overlooked for too long, we've decided to champion worm tub condensers. We have sought out producers of exceptional spirits from around the world that, like us, have stayed true to the worm tub and eschewed the more modern shell and tube condenser as part of our 13-year-old Craigellachie cask finish range. I believe, if I'm not wrong, oh, it does actually say on the bottom too, I really don't pay attention to bottles anymore, finished in Armagnac casks. Armagnac as well does use tube condensers. No, it doesn't. It uses worm tub condensers and alembic stills. It's a little bit different to cognac itself. But yeah, why have I not really paid much attention to Craigellachie? I don't really know the answer to that. The 13 is still very good value for money. I'm pretty sure the 17 is discontinued, as is the 23. You just don't really find it in terms of older stuff anymore. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm looking a bit of a gift horse in the mouth and should just buy Craigellachie 13 again, because it's pretty good. But anyway, that is like 4 minutes of me rambling at you about whiskey. Let's taste the whiskey. Let's smell the whiskey. Let's see what's going on. We did do a very brief thing on cognac a long time ago. I do own a 25-year-old Armagnac, and I honestly cannot remember if we reviewed it or if I just put it on Instagram. It is downstairs, so if we haven't, we probably should. But even in this very bright room, somewhat of a classic colour, nothing too over the top. It's got this nice burnished gold thing to it. And this is a freshly cleaned glass, so I hope that there's no sort of dishwasher residue or liquid soap on it to see if we can get a little idea of the body on this thing. Covered in greasy fingerprints, my apologies. I've just been writing something for a website about Craigellachie, so this fits in quite nicely. It is a Speyside obviously, but it is radically different. Even to smell, even with that cask finish, the saltiness of it just runs away. You would almost think it was something like a bizarre old Pulteney. For any of you that tried that Pinot de Chiron old Pulteney, it was like really salty, really herbal. This has the saltiness to it. I wouldn't really describe it as herbal. There are some beautiful sweet notes lingering in the background. There's a slight sour cherryness, there's vanilla, there's a really pleasant, warming sort of freshly cut wood thing to it. There are some green notes, but you could probably mistake it for something like moss, or almost like petrichor-y wet grass sort of smell. But yeah, if you gave me that blind, which at this moment in time should probably be the slogan of this channel, I would never have said this was a Speyside whiskey. It just has so much of the coast to it. It's quite a remarkable thing. Let's taste it. Ooh, okay. There's quite a lot to unpack here. I'm going to start with the finish first. Classic Craigellachie. We've got this salty, almost olive brine. It does really get that salty. Herbaceous, parsley, salt water, like pasta water kind of thing to it. There are so many culinary, rich, savoury notes to it, which I think is incredible, because we often think of Speyside whiskey as the sweeter stars of whiskey, despite the huge variety and denseness that is in Speyside. But I think we always inherently think about sherry casks and that kind of thing. But yeah, the savoury notes in this, it's really easy to make anything sweet. We have the capacity with barrel maturation and finishing to make anything as sweet as we want. Obviously with other spirits it becomes a little bit easier, with rum, etc. But it's really difficult, even in something as big as the cocktail world or the standard drinks world, to make something that is savoury rather than sweet. And this just kicks all of that stuff straight out. And even looking at the, it does say at the top, old-fashioned in 1891 on this bottle. But even looking at the designs of the label, the fonts, the old school kind of calligraphic handwriting that you'd see in like a taxman book or something, there's just something beautifully elegant about the way Craigellachie presents all its whiskey, and I do love it. So this is more of a retribution and enjoying this beautiful whiskey, and for some reason not buying Craigellachie for a while. The finish is long and salty and herbaceous and culinary and delicious. The palate, you do get this kind of pendulum effect of sweet and savouriness. It's very hard to get away from. The sweet notes, they kind of linger with this lemon zesty, lemon rind, orange pith. The Armagnac finish, I will say, isn't providing anything that is overly powerful from Armagnac. I'm not getting raisiny notes or sultanery notes or like old caramel sort of notes. It is more of a just an oak influence, just a drying little fruit fly in the room, a drying, woody, almost dehydrating sensation throughout the whole time. But much like the palate, much like the nose, head's all over the place today. You come back off holiday and your brain just doesn't work. That soft, like vanilla and cherry notes. Now I don't remember ever getting cherry as a flavour profile from any other Craigellachie, so that must be coming in from the Armagnac barrels. Obviously, vatting and cask maturation is hard to keep consistent, so there could be an odd rogue bourbon cask giving us that. But if you're looking for a whiskey which just has this very refined, herbal, salty, deep, wooden, comfort sort of driven feeling, I honestly can't sing the praises of this enough. This was £57 a bottle, which in all honesty for a 13-year-old 46% interestingly finished whiskey I think is pretty remarkable from a price point of view. And yeah, I just apologise to you Craigellachie for not purchasing other stuff soon. I'm going to have to get a bottle of the regular 13 and just do like a comparison of them. But yeah, this is really fun. I'm going to give this thing a solid 8 out of 10 if you're just looking for something different to add to your back bar, that maybe you had something that had those savoury notes to it, haven't found anything like it since. Jump on board with this folks, because it is very, very tasty. But thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next week for something a little different. Cheers.